Bitcoin is continuing to do what it always does after a massive move up, and that is consolidate. In today's video, we'll be talking about not just Bitcoin, but what could be coming next for altcoins against Bitcoin. I found something extremely interesting on the charts that you won't want to miss. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Let's jump right into the video. As per usual, let's kick off this video taking a look at Bitcoin, and what you can see here is we are still consolidating inside of this massive bull flag. Now, the next levels that I'm actually looking at for Bitcoin, as you can see on the 1 hour time frame, is this level right around here, 116.2k down to around below $116,000. Now, if that level fails to hold, we also have the bottom of the range here, which is a very interesting level to potentially long Bitcoin. The reason being, it is not only the bottom of this bull flag, but it also coincides with the CME gap, which we've been monitoring very closely, sitting right between 114.5k to 115.5k. So it wouldn't be surprising if Bitcoin finds its way back into this level to grab some liquidity. The other thing I want you to pay attention to if we go on the daily time frame is that we do indeed have a fair value gap. On the weekly time frame, we do indeed have a fair value gap right below this level. And so if we zoom out here, you can see that it wouldn't actually be surprising for Bitcoin to grab liquidity to the downside before going ahead and moving higher. Now, what I really wanted to go over in today's video, not just looking at Bitcoin, but also looking at Ethereum and the rest of the altcoin market. This will be a very, very quick video, but I wanted to show you something super interesting. So we have the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin versus Bitcoin. And what you can see on this chart is that we are still above the range lows, which is found right around 0.25. We've been following this very closely, and my base case has been that we will likely come back down to the bottom of the range, as many other creators also think. So what I want you to consider here is, why would this happen, and should you be freaking out about your altcoins? Well, not necessarily. It depends what you measure your altcoin against. This can happen, this downtrend over here can happen while your altcoins are still going up on their US dollar valuation. So what I want you to consider here is that we will likely have a little bit of underperformance from altcoins against Bitcoin and against Ethereum, which is why I made it very clear in my last video that you want to measure your altcoins against Bitcoin and against Ethereum. Bitcoin, of course, because it is the king, but Ethereum can give you exposure to the altcoin market without taking on a tremendous amount of risk. Now, what I wanted to show you here is what we saw in the previous cycle right around August down to December. And that is the devaluation of altcoins against Bitcoin before we had a massive parabolic move for altcoins against Bitcoin. You can see that they dropped from this time frame around 59%. Now, this is a massive drop. What this means is altcoins were bleeding against Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that their dollar valuation was going down. In fact, it was going up during this time period, but Bitcoin was outperforming all of these altcoins. So I want you to pay attention to this, because as I've always said on the channel, if you can just hold Bitcoin and get most of the returns of the crypto industry, why wouldn't you do that? Because you're taking on less risk. And as I also said in a previous video, for me to justify swapping my Bitcoin into altcoins, I better be getting way more returns because it is way riskier. So we can see that they dropped 59% during this period. Now I want you to take a look at Ethereum. What happened between August 2020 to December 2020? Let's take a look. So if we take the price range and we go back to 2020, you can see here that from August all the way to the end of December, which is what we were measuring, Ethereum went up over 138% during this time period, outperforming the rest of the altcoin market. Now, what happened to Bitcoin? Because if we zoom out here, Bitcoin also had some very, very strong performance during this time period, if I'm not mistaken. And so if we take a price range here, I can show you exactly what I'm looking at. Back in August of 2020, Bitcoin started going absolutely parabolic. We consolidated, and then into December, you can see that towards the end of December, Bitcoin had gone up 150%. This is happening while altcoins are continuing to bleed against Bitcoin. And if we look at the valuation of altcoins outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, yes, indeed, we did go up, but it was nowhere near as significant as we saw Bitcoin and Ethereum going up. So what does this mean? Does it mean that your altcoin will go to zero? No, it doesn't. It just means that we could see some underperformance from the collective altcoin market against Bitcoin and against Ethereum until the final leg up. And you can see what happened afterwards. Total 3 absolutely skyrocketed. As you know, altcoins outside of Ethereum come afterwards, and this is how the money flows into the crypto market. So, 1, I do think we will be having an explosive altcoin market at some time this year, and of course, I will let you know exactly when I think that is. And 2, it doesn't mean that your altcoin will be losing value on its US dollar. It just means that it will likely be underperforming Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I just have to put a disclaimer, if your altcoin is outperforming both Bitcoin and Ethereum over the next few weeks, over the next few months, then awesome for you, because that is a fantastic risk to reward. However, most altcoins will likely struggle until they finally go ahead and play catch up. Anyways, I just found this on the chart today. I thought it was extremely interesting to share that altcoins can still go down against Bitcoin even though they go up on their USD valuation, while Bitcoin and Ethereum go up even more on their USD valuation. So this is the time where you want to be holding Bitcoin and Ethereum, in my opinion. And right now, as I'm recording this video, 85% of my portfolio is in Bitcoin, and the rest is indeed in Ethereum. I swapped some of my Bitcoin for Ethereum. So on the weekly time frame, ETH Bitcoin, just to wrap up this video, you can see that we had a very, very bullish weekly candle, and this could be the massive reversal that we're waiting for. And as I wrap up this video, if you want to join me in my free Telegram group where I'm sharing my own personal trades on a daily basis, you have the first link in my description down below. All you have to do is message me the word premium on Telegram, and you'll be able to join that group. And that sums up today's video. Just thought I'd do a quick one today. I found this extremely interesting, how altcoins can actually bleed against Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin and Ethereum likely to outperform, and then we finally have the massive altcoin run that everyone is waiting for. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.